usually pretty pleasant. So we have to look at how systems work, right? To understand that, you have to look at the cogs, the wheels, and everything else. What worth is a single wheel when the wheel was invented with caveman knocking it down? It was useless. You need to have 2 wheels to make a sled, 3 wheels to almost get somewhere, or 4 wheels to make a cart that's balanced equilaterally. So just having one idea of how something works, or even calling it a flywheel, not really digesting what's really going on. So you're going to take your primary token. This is where we started. We can get up to STAYBULL and all the rest of it, but that gets more complex. Why jump to the complex stuff when we're still trying to suss out the beginning? So when we started GIFF, GIFF was launched as a meme token as an experiment. I didn't even know he was doing it. And by the time I actually was able to do funds and all the rest of it, it was like 8 days later. And I didn't even know this is the primary strike. We simulate in real time and we pivot in real time. We did no sacrifices, no fundraising, all out of our own pockets and minds. And we did that because we believed in multiple different variables and how you can do things better and how do you combine all those things together. So this is your alchemy right here in just GIFF. You're bringing just your pulse and just your GIFF, making the alchemy happen. And this was our first, again, experiment on what happened. Turned out to go absolutely wackadoodle. We were not expecting that, but that's why each component must be addressed individually to understand a deeper component. So 10 native pulse represents a 1 GIF to a 1 perma-GIF ratio. And the reason that he did that, he was like, okay, a 10x seems to be a good ceiling, right? Based on the price of pulse and all the rest of that. But it started at 1 pulse to 1 GIF, right? That's when everything started. That was the ideal and the plan for everything to go forward. So that's where we use 10 as the narrative. And so 100% of the GIF that comes in, this little buddy right here, boop, 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 automatically goes to the dead address, or what most people could call just the black hole. It can never, it's a smart contract you can never get access to again. So theoretically it's dead, but also technically it counts towards market cap, because how can we see something like that is we can come over here to, what is it, Go Pulse, and we type GIF. And lo and behold, 25% of the entire supply is deleted. The reason you can capture that is because it's in the dead address, right?
Okay.
Now, this is GIF OA stuff. This is just a container that we were seeing to suss out what something would do, how it would work, because all of these numbers are very nominal, and you think that there's only 1 billion GIF that has ever been created. Ding, ding, ding. And it launched as a meme coin that we didn't even talk about for weeks. We were talking about Pulsar, because this was our suss to build up to the next tier, the next level, getting more wheels on your cart. And so from here, every GIF that you combine, like alchemy, or your regiets or your components, gets sent to the dead address. Now, 10% of the economic energy, right, the power, goes into the creation of the PGIFF. And so the perma-GIF automatically gets minted right after you do this, and 90% of this economic energy goes to the buy and burn, or the perma-bull. And that's where we started with a lot of our pillars, is what is this perma-bull do? What is its features? What are its clauses? What are its ideals that it acts on? And so what this thing can only do with all that 90% of economic energy is permanently delete GIF from the market, because GIF is a deletable token. That's why we started with the meme token. Not anything that's been built before is a destroyable token. So how can you reference it if you're destroying it on the front side if you want that burn ratio? Now you could calculate circulating supply and how it started and maths. Now, it's just easier to have a place where you can understand that, right? And of course, the clauses, this is a simulation. It says it absolutely anywhere. Initial setting can be to 0. But most importantly, when people think of buy and burn, they're thinking the savior of all. It's going to be the Jesus that's going to forgive everything. That's not how these things work. By actually interacting with the contract, creation, not inflation, has actually given you more power than anything else, because you've removed that circulating supply. But you have something that's been bound with economic value, that the only thing that it can ever be done is be deleted by the perma-bull. Do you have any questions there before we move on?
Okay, 90% goes there. Where's the other 10% go?
Right here is a GIF OA. It was just a container. But if you actually look at, there's only 1 billion GIF or PGIF that could ever exist at the same time, right? Because PGIF can only be created by GIF, and by creating PGIF, the GIF gets sent to the debt address. That's why you can see, oh Lord, where'd you go? Come on back. Did I close it? Boo, I'll bring it back. Go Pulse. And let's just do GIF for easy. So there was only 1 billion GIF ever created, and 25% is deleted, right? It's in the debt address.
No play, yeah, out of play.
Right? And then if we look at the other side on PGIF, was it even going to say circulating supply? We'd have to look on contract and all the rest of that. I don't feel like doing that in real time. Liquidity supply of 235 million. Okay, yeah, that works right there. So again, I didn't want to math, but apparently that was what did I say, 245 before? You guys still there?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's, I got to kind of go in a little close on my screen.
Oh, you're good. I'm just trying to get something to actually give you real-time metrics. Because the real stuff is what I want to explain to you. But if you're not getting the pillars and we're worried about the little minutia, you're missing out on the whole kit and caboodle of why this.
What do you think, Donnie?
Sorry,
I was muted.
Oh, you're good. Right. So you can see here, there's a billion supply, right? Of GIF. Yeah. And we see that 25%, so 248 million GIF is sent to the debt address. It's gone, right? Come back to this.
Out of play.
Yeah, it's out of play, right? You're in the penalty zone forever. That means the creation aspect over here, 248 to 235, it's done what, 13 million, completely deleted from existence, does not exist. This is really the difference between sending something to a debt address or buying and burning a token that you created. You put your economic energy into that to create it, and now it's being removed. So then we've got more pillars, right? If you used it, what does Richard say that the people who make the most money in crypto are?
Creators of a token.
Yeah, founders and holders.
Founders and holders. Now, if you want to use staking as a way to not cheat yourself out of something, sure. And we can get into the term loose or reverse liquid staking later. But with our tools, if you use them correctly, you are a founder, not a holder, because you're using tools for the betterment and use case of things that you are building later, just like the example of wheels on a cart. So that was simulation 1. And then we went to simulation 2, which is what we did over at Iburn. What's really interesting about Iburn is we test a couple different things at the same time. Not only do we test the same economic energy, right? But we're doing E-ICOSA and P-ICOSA. Well, the other way around, or ICOSA native, if you want to be picky. But the question is those had different price differences. What if either of those, both cross-bridge or native bridge, could be alchemified to created into make Iburn? Again, each ICOSA, whether it's E or P, gets sent to the respective debt address. And then the container over here, right? That's why I said the GIF OA is irrelevant. But this is where it gets fun. 15% of that economic creation over here removes PGIF from existence. Now, as I was saying before, we're trying to run many simulations in real time. There is absolutely no need to be looking at this one right here, when in all actuality, the fun stuff happens when we get to STAYBULL and NOBULL or STAYBULL.
Yeah, I said that.
Well, I mean, the thing is that now we've got a dynamic reflexive system to take the protocol fee or the energy that you need to do it, and it dynamically reflects the market conditions and what's going on with both the PLS and the token itself to get a 2-to-1 ratio. Let's get to there. So at this point, 85%, exact same scenario. OA can do whatever it wants to. But if you didn't notice, we actually have a decentralized buy and burn on the Iburn contract, if anyone hasn't looked. So Iburn actually has the ability to call their buy and burn whenever they want. Because that simulation is interesting. We've touched parity between both of those tokens. We've done it cross-chain, and we've increased the ceiling price a bit. So what was interesting about this simulation is we used a little bit above a buffer of the ICOSA price for either of the ICOSAs. Right? Does it make sense? So you're going to bring the cheaper ICOSA in to burn it more. What that does is it makes ICOSA more rare on the Ethereum side. Well, how do you make ICOSA? Well, you need to use the Hedron ICOSA system. And then from there, that could restart the auction house. That could restart the eHex flywheel. And it started to, you know, pull the engines a little bit and rum. So very, very, very fascinating stuff. And then we have Stable, right? Stable gets really more interesting because instead of a flat ratioed buy and burn contract for, well, the minting contract, right? The way that it's going to figure out what that protocol fee is the same thing else is by taking 25% of the protocol fee goes to PGIFF, 75 goes to burn STAYBULL. But as the market conditions move in dynamic ranges, the protocol will leverage itself to make sure that that actually price is reflective. Whereas before it was static. We hadn't gotten to that part of the simulation in real time yet. So again, same scenario. PLUSD is minted. That's why you can come on back. So many windows. Oh, why does this thing keep running for me? I'll bring it again. Oh, Pulse.
Hey, big shout out to the Mo for help making this happen. Appreciate you, brother.
Mo is the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, normally, like I said, I was taking the weekend off, night off, all the rest of that stuff. And then I saw you over on the G-Gens, and I was like, I saw that face. Yeah, sure, I'll come say hello.
Right.
Again, my computer is very angry today. So go Pulse.
Is my mic working, ENJ?
Yeah, you're sounding good.
Yeah, I hear you, brother.
Okay, cool.
What are we doing? We're doing PLUSD, right? So same scenario. But 3.8% has already been bloody burned. And at how many days old? A week?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
time
nice
travel.
little
I work way too much and around the clock, so I couldn't even a month. But that's
Right.
easy way to say what's been burned, right? But what we can do, which is really fascinating, is go check out. Do it.
Yeah, we're looking at the USD burn like 3 days ago. It was like 2.57 or no, 2.52 or something like that. And we're thinking it's going to take like 14 days to burn off like 1 full percent. And you guys did it in like 3-4 days. It's like, it's crazy.
Well, it depends on how verocities the community is. How much passion do they want to learn the tools? How much do they want to understand it? How much are they just trying to cheat really fast but not know what they're doing? Right? It's kind of like driving down a one-way road drunk. That was probably your own fault. You know, one way, stop. Don't go that way.
Right.
This way. Right? It's not the science fault. You didn't want to read it. In fact, when I was a truck driver, I used the analogy RTFS. Read the fucking signs. Coming out of the trailer in the back of the sleeper and the truck sitting next to a cornfield. I'm like, rookie, how do we get here? It's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I certainly didn't drive it. You had to have gotten off the big road and next to a cornfield. But if you read the actual use cases and learn it, and again, Mike Sellers, fantastic person to understand systemic design, because that's who I read the book from 18 years ago. So 336 billion is right here and created. Now, if, oh Lord, I hate doing these in real time. If you really want to get fancy, because I don't think people really understand how to do this stuff. And to be fair, and if you
Welcome
ever
to stream, Tank Will.
Oh, what's going on, Will? How you doing?
Yeah.
Let's
Says,
go.
PLSD is doing great with the STAYBULL protocol. Thanks, Gift team. Shout out to the Gift.
I don't even know which camera I'm on. One of these. Like I said, I was like running in fast and everything broke 7 minutes. And I'm like, of course it does. So if you want to really take a deep dive in what is going on, you can, and I screw this up horribly. So then we're going to go to contract. As we can see, there's the stuff at the top, and then we need buy and burn wallet address. So this is going to show your buy and burn what it's doing in real time, but it's sometimes easier. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Let me find it. I brought this browser up because it has no history. Let me find. It should be. Anyone drop the Otterskin link in the top or in the chat somewhere?
Which one?
Otterskin?
Otterskin?
Oh, there we go. It shouldn't be. That's not correct. There we go. Oh, Lord, what do we got to do? I need this, buddy. Oh, it's going off my pinata.
Fun.
No rush. You got time. You got time. No rush.
Oh, I know. It's just always do it on the end. So when you're looking at, I believe this is the correct one. When you see mint, you see people actually creating the token. And we can go back to the real theosophy and how systems work rather than dealing with all the numbers and the pages and all the rest of that, because at the end level, you can watch the videos that we've made. And Giff explained it's a hell of a lot better than I do. One of these things is going to be an execute somewhere, or I could also be at the wrong page. Wouldn't surprise me. We'll figure it out.
Do you have any? What's your opinion on the whole minting thing for the LUSD?
I mean, I think it's fantastic because you look at the two different paradigms on what we were doing with here. I'll go stop sharing. I'll just leave the graph up because graphs are important.
No, I'm saying like people are like worried that they're gonna mint it to 0 and all that shit. Like what do you like?
Oh, I'm not getting involved in any of that drama. I don't know. I don't know. Like,
Hey, you know what? I said exactly the same thing before the stream. You know what? These guys were actually like in the DGen voice chat with me, right? They were saying, "Oh, you know, Donnie, this guy's like, you know, part of the LUSD thing. Like, these are LUSD people. You got to play nice."
Right.
So I don't exactly have the most favorable opinions about some of these things, but
here, let me break this down to you in like my phrasing or world. I work 20 hours of the day making video games, sometimes to the weekend. When I worked at ZeniMax, we had 7 attorneys on retainer to deal with divorces. Game dev is not, you don't understand, game dev is not fun. You know what's worse? I may have to take a break and get some water here in a sec. But when you deal with someone that spends $50 on something and they think that they can tell you something that you sacrifice so much time to do, thinking that somehow I bought this and now you're an investor or an advisor or any of that. You're a consumer, right? You're a bloody consumer. You don't walk into Chipotle and pretend you're Gordon Ramsay. You brought your economic energy in. You had your burrito. You enjoyed it. And if you don't like it, please don't come back. You are not suddenly on the board of directors. So when it comes to drama, you can either fix things or you can make things worse. I'm on the positivity of fixing things because nothing else is going to resolve unless you actually resolve the question and the answer, not ask why. Why is great. Understand how. Give me a second to get some water. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Okay. Sounds good.
Wow.
Hey, you want to go ahead and give take it away real quick?
So what do you think, Donnie? You got any feedback?
Look, I got to be honest. A lot of these concepts that our friend Mr. Kool-Aid here is speaking of, I would simply say he's talking about some very basic principles of good tokenomics in very upper echelon metaphorical ways, I guess. Like what he's talking about is not the most difficult thing to achieve here. I think he's just explaining it at a very high level. You know?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry I didn't catch the end of that. I explain things at a high level because that's how I think and then walk backwards. Just the fact
absolutely.
that I can immediately tell you, you know what your intro needed? It needed a ticker on the bottom right? Because that actually like solved 5 different things at once. To just explain it like you're 5 doesn't mean you're thinking like you should be 5. You need to grow this knowledge base here. And I am not the person to explain it simply. I mean, hell, the GIF is the only person that can translate me fully. He actually speaks simply. Well, yeah.
But what I'm saying is I was able to understand what you're saying, and like I can see the graph that you were looking at here as well. And what I'm saying to others is that, look, what you're talking about here is not the most difficult thing in the world to achieve. This is good tokenomics. So in case it was confusing for anyone, you know, this is really, really simple, you know? Yeah.
Well, also you have to think about things in seasons, right? How long does it take to really do something? Let's just take babies, right? Crawl, maybe crawl and fall some more, walk, run. And now you're in a bloody car. And then for your entire life, that Venn diagram of how you needed someone to clean you up and pick you up and put you in a chair, to now you're driving a high-speed vehicle the wrong way on a one-way road, drunk, because you didn't want to RTFS read the fucking signs. And you think you spend 3 minutes learning something. You're like, I got this, coach. And then you jump off a cliff without a parachute. You're like, not idea, man. Not good idea. So these systems not just only take time to mature, but there's so much more at play. And that's what people learn the more they grow and really dive into the knowledge and digest it like a designer, not as someone copying pasta code, not as someone that has a good idea. There's a lot of good ideas, but are they going to be successful? When you want to do things correctly, you have to look at what are your milestones, what are your goalposts, and how are you moving through them? The community, with whatever happened with the Trove or all the rest of it, again, drama, I don't care. It was a decentralized forked community that has a narrative, has a message, has an energy, has an economic component, a fervor for it. That's important. I mean, what did Richard Hart say way back in the day is, I need you to participate if you want to help change the world. And whatever that narrative is, you need to participate. And it's not just economic money, but it's understanding and time. Knowledge is the most expensive token in the world, and time is the only thing you don't get back. If you're not putting your time in to make executive decisions on surgical knowledge, then why are you asking questions? When just ask, where do I learn more about this? That's what I love